Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to talk to you today about some thoughts I've been having around the red pill movement. And as you know, I'm not somebody who enjoys what they talk about. And at first, when you come across some of the things they say, you can think, well, these people got some secrets to like what men want, and how do you find your soulmate and stuff like that. But when you dig into it, it's just a degenerate hedonism and conniving backstabbing, which is the flip side of the rugged Jezebel feministic occultic spirit. So they're just the same version of each other, but through the lens of the genders. So one through the lens of men, the other through the lens of women. Now, Myron Gaines, as I shared on my community tab, again was, enabling and promoting and bragging about cheating, and the degenerate grifter Pearly Things who enables cheating and then says she doesn't and then doubles down and commits heresy and blasphemy against her own religion, which condemns in the Ten Commandments adultery. She was, calling it's a savage tweet in a funny way that Myron Gaines was saying that Martin Luther King Jr., yes, he cheated on his wife, but he was not promoting polygamy. He was saying, men like to cheat. So I say all that to say this, is that red pill promotes doubts. Now, those doubts of loyalty destroy the mind of a woman, okay? And that doubt is sinister, and Shaitan feeds off of doubts. Islam, we're not supposed to have doubts of our religion. We can inquire, find answers, solutions, remedies, clear distinctions between permissible and not permissible, aka halal and haram, but we know there's no doubt that we're going to be judged for what we did on earth. We don't doubt that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees all that we do, is all-knowing, right? So, if you are going to cheat on your wife, Allah sees that. You're going to be held accountable. And so you let your phallus rule you. And Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, is a sign for men not to be ruled by their phallus. Red pill tells men, no, cheat on your wife. Hurt her, risk STDs, risk losing your children. And red pill, notice something. Why do they promote vasectomies? Oh, well, if a consequence of cheating is a baby, just abort the baby or get a vasectomy so that you can cheat all you want and you never have to risk your mistress bringing a baby to your door and your wife leaving you with the kids, right? And so, red pill, 1 minute, says get a prenup, then get married. Then it says don't get married at all. It's all about protecting a man's finances if his wife finds out he's cheating. So they want the woman to stay with the cheater and to be dependent upon him so that she can be financially abused and coerced into staying, but that if she does leave, he loses nothing. They want the laws to change to where if a man cheats and the wife decides to leave, she leaves with nothing, the man suffers nothing at all. It's all about how can he stomp on the hearts of the women he sleeps with and satisfy the endless hunger that his phallus drives him to. It calls men to get on their knees to a giant phallus, okay? These red pill men worship the penis. They don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are a type of man who is so beastly. He's so primal. He hungers to take daughters, turn them into harlots, and then they're so sinister. They turn around and mock the very same women they tricked. So that shows they are very evil. And then the women who are born again from that trauma, you take a good farm girl from a small town, or a naive city girl who's kind of awkward and quirky. She gets with one of these red pill guys. He's rotating women. She finds out. He dumps her. He goes off with some big-breasted bimbo, and this good girl who would have made a good wife, who, you know, was awkward. She didn't have a whole lot of money, but she was ready to find somebody, and all he did was use her and toss her and go on to the next. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And then that woman, she's carrying around that angst, that pain inside her. And then what happens? You hear the empowered, feministic, occultist women who are solely focused on the monetary gain, the materialistic aim. Then they start preaching this sort of really dark art stuff to those girls. Look what that man did to you. Don't you want to get him back? Don't you want revenge? Oh, that's men. They're ruled by their phallus. So what you must do is find a way to dominate him completely with your vag. And it's like war of the genitals. You know, like these are, it's strange. For the woman body, our vag is a portal for life to get for the sperm to go in, for life to create, and for life to come out. You know? And when man and woman come together, if they like each other and are spiritually healthy, there's an energy exchange there where both feel better after, when done right. So the woman's body is like a conductor for energy, right? The man feels tired and relaxed. And it's really quite a beautiful thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a man and a woman when they come together. And so when you see red pill people who are creating these vicious women, because women turn vicious when they've been hurt. A lot of girls find out the hard way that they aren't going to have the Disney fairy tale, and they don't know how to find it. And they think by being sexual slutty whores, they're going to somehow land the king eventually, right? And those type of women are propped up through music, and men give them attention because they see butts and boobs, and then they go crazy. Their ween gets hard, and it's just this whole, like for people who've escaped that hedonistic energy trap, and you learn to control your hormones, to discipline yourself, you fear a lot, and you're witnessing other people act really strange, you're like, that's crazy. Like, just the fact that a man will go to a woman, she's dancing on a stage, and he's throwing money at her, and you're just like, I wonder how much that guy even donated to charity. Like, he'd rather let kids starve. And he's probably cheating on his wife. He'd rather throw money at this chick. Just because he sees a bit of skin. He's working hard. And then gives his money to a woman who's literally just showing him something. Like, it's bizarre. It's so strange. And some of these women doing adult content, making money, and you're like, what a strange world. It's such a strange world. And it shows, you know, how red pill makes men go to their lowest form, which is to be ruled by the phallus. They think they worship money and status, but in reality it's not that case. Because if it was, they would be telling you to control your urges, not to rotate girls, and to do constant dating and not to settle down and get someone. They don't talk about being married and supporting your wife, having a happy marriage. It's all about get an Instagram thought and then ridicule her, break her down, and try to turn the thoughty into a sort of priestess. It doesn't work like that. it's like this form of sex magic. There's something going on in that red pill movement that it's sinister, because these red pill men bragging about cheating and trying to bait and coax men into thinking it's okay to do this and that there will be no deadly consequences to cheating on a woman. It's like, do they want to destroy men? They prop themselves up as manosphere gurus. But why would you want to listen to a man who all he wants is beautiful young women, right? He uses them, throws them, mocks them. He doesn't have children. He doesn't have the honorable, solid trophy wife, but he has just a bunch of whores around him who are very low IQ, and they don't even have basic life skills, and their looks are gonna fade. So he hasn't really gained anything, and then he feels entitled to a righteous, pure woman. It doesn't make sense. Like, things aren't adding up. Right? So when Red Pill is pushing doubts onto women, like, it's terrifying as a mom if you think that your daughter is going to end up with one of these vile, degenerate, scumbag red pill stains on humanity, because you don't want to be the one who embraces your daughter while she's crying because her husband cheated on her. And I think if you're spiritually tuned, it's like you want revenge on that monster. How do you get revenge on the man who decided to put a bullet in your daughter's heart because he's led by his penis? And the anger that can be felt, where if we lived in a different world, right, if we had different laws, it's almost like, I don't know, you're going back to some type of tribal honor thing, where it's like, you disgraced my daughter, you hurt my daughter, you dishonored the family through your infidelity, now you will get yours. I think that's why stoning adulterers is such a fascinating thing to think about. Because when you allow so much adultery, now you get the red pill. Think about it. People minimized adultery. They're saying, why are all these families, broken homes? Women should just take being cheated on. But if you actually care about somebody, you're like, okay, if you're going to be polygamous, cool. But you got to stay within those bonds. Okay? But if a guy is like, oh, I'm going to be monogamous, but then he goes around, oh, because I have money, I can do what I want. I can defy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like, not only is he hurting the woman who loves him, and he's being ruled by his penis and dominated by shaitan, he's defiantly rebellious against the creator and sustainer of the universe, who has told him clearly in Islam and Christianity, don't commit adultery. Don't be a fornicator. Don't be a whoremonger. Right? And the red pill guys, they think that they have the secret to get back at the witches. But the witches and the red pill manosphere, they actually work together to destroy families. Cheating never helps a relationship. It only brings danger. It only destroys. So anyone who promotes it is promoting death and destruction. There are plenty of crime stories where a woman got in revenge on a man. And if you look at, even through folktales, do some interesting research. The scorned wife, how she will inflame, it's like, wow, And let me tell you something. If a woman doesn't care if you cheat, she isn't really bonded to you, right? She used you as a conduit to get to the children and have provision. And you may think you don't need a woman's love. But if you don't want the woman's love, then you can't complain about divorce. Because if someone isn't bonded to you, they're not going to fight for the marriage. And then what happens? More people growing up without fathers and a tight-knit nuclear family. It's important for people in their marriage to have trust. Red pill puts doubts due to how it promotes cheating. And if you think that pushing doubt in a wife's mind, like, oh, if your husband watches Fresh and Fit, a wife is gonna say, hey, my husband's listening to hours of whores talking and guys who are saying it's okay to cheat. Is it safe to be with this man? Huh. Why would I want to stay with someone? They're going to get this fear response. A smart woman, I'd argue, if her man listens to Fresh and Fit, adopts their philosophy, adopts their agenda, adopts their mannerisms, their goals for life, that's where you got to be like, okay, I need to have a backup plan. Okay? And you cannot fully trust a guy like that, because the guys he's sitting at the feet of and admiring are saying cheat, 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 cheat. And if a woman thinks in her head, right, imagining her husband with someone else, all the sounds, the smells, right, the lies he'll have to spew in order to do that, the dagger to the heart can hit a nerve for her to delete herself, for her to delete him, or to separate the family. And then who wins? Shaitan. See, what's sick about people like Pearly Things, who really is a terrible human being, is that she tries to be the witch who brainwashes and gaslights women into accepting and condoning adultery, and that if they leave, they are bad. She puts no... She said cheating is like a handshake in her viral clip. I remember that. You can look it up. Pearly Things, handshake, cheating, right? Look it up. To reduce the act of adultery to a handshake, when in the Ten Commandments and in Islam, it's like, no, that's bad, shows you what is she after. She's not trying to help people stay married. She has literally said, don't get married. She said having a stay-at-home wife is a risk financially. Then she started saying men should pay prostitutes in order to have children. But she's smart, because she phrases it in a way where people can be really naive because they don't know rhetoric. Oh, she's just questioning. You know, if you... Okay, this is why maybe I should read some of Aristotle's rhetoric. The more you learn about sophistry, rhetoric, and just speech shenanigans and semantics, satire, you start to learn how to word language in a way where you can get your message through without directly stating it. And that is what Pearl is getting better at, which shows she's being advised by a shaitan. She wants to be less obvious. She wants to be more covert. And that shows you that she's learning and adapting to how can I destroy without triggering as much attention. Because she puts it right on the nose with her agenda of promoting cheating. Right? It's right on the nose. And so Christians and Muslims can look at that and say, you're promoting sin. But then she can flip it and say, what if a man did this? Who's to say how much sin a man can do? Phrasing it as a question. You know, changing the tone. Well, I'm just asking. The type of question someone asks shows you where their mind is. And when someone's inquiring about something, they're suspicious about that. They're intrigued. They're curious. Where is their mind going? You know? Like, why are you asking that? when you look at crime stories, people start Googling things, and the police use their searches, their questioning, just to be like, say, okay, you had premeditated this, or you plotted that, right? So when it comes to Pearl, she's posing questions. You look at that and you're like, yeah, I see what you're up to. Oh, don't be, what? I'm just asking. I'm just describing. Why are you trying to lead the conversation to this? But see, I understand that a lot of people are busy. Now, a lot of people are pattern types, where they can identify patterns, and they're about their day. They're more passing by her content, right? But there are minds who are geared towards pointing out certain things. That's what makes a great journalist different. That's what makes a great sports player different. People who have that skill, all of a sudden they got that hawk-eyed owl vision on their target. And that's what I do with Pearl and other influencers of the red pill. Now, for Myron Gaines, a childless, hedonist man who isn't married and who is a fornicator and rebelliously and proudly disobeys the rules of Islam and promotes Muslims to disobey, and is proud in his disobeying, because he often says, when it comes to interest, I heard him say with Sneeko, like, that's why I say I'm not a good Muslim. He's happy to flaunt his disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while red pill Muslim men who are under the age of 25 see him as a hero. And they want to get on his show, and they want to give him money, and they want to do all this stuff. He is putting doubts in Muslim men's minds as to the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's putting doubts in the minds of Muslim women, because he's trying to get those men to cheat, to see cheating as not a big deal. The thing that gets people is they think, I only had 10 minutes of intimacy. How much of a big deal it is? Your wife finds out, she's going to remember for the rest of her life. She finds out her cousin, someone wants to get revenge on you. They shank you up, stick you. And now you have permanent health problems and thousands of dollars in debt to the hospital. Do not think. Or they get in a car and they run you off the road. I mean, there's endless examples, real world examples of when revenge happened on somebody. And revenge can be slow. It can be calculated. A woman can give you that nice smile, and then in her head she's plotting against you. Wants to have the long game of destroying you. Be very careful. Be very careful. Do not trivialize cheating just because the amount of time you were humping was short. Really examine that. Don't get confused. It feels good, and I only did it for a short time, therefore it's not a big deal. No. And if you have cheated, you have to be like, dang man, why did I mess up? Why was I so stupid? Like, why, man? And then be disgusted and angry at yourself. Okay? Stop it. Don't be a slave to your lusts and desires. You have to discipline yourself. You will be rewarded for resisting, because every act of good is rewarded with good. Sin is never rewarded with good. Anyone who tells you to commit sins, it wants to take away your good deeds on Judgment Day. They want to drag you by the heels into hell. I gotta go. The guy's coming to fix the roof.